Hey,
Hello, how are you?
good. How are you?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Not too bad. Thanks for taking the time. Can you hear
Yeah,
us okay?
yeah,
Okay, great. Um, yeah, so I guess you wanted us to talk a bit about what things the your ex-girlfriend and your dad sort of said about you on the show. We're happy to recap
yeah.
that and get a response if possible. Uh,
Okay,
a lot of basically your ex-girlfriend talked a bit about life with you, the start of the relationship, things seeming normal. A lot of the interview was her reaction to some of the things you've been charged with and sort of being pretty upset over that and essentially having some pretty negative things to say about that, I would say. Um,
right.
Ultimately, I would say she came down, pretty angry. She said some nice things about you through like, your personality, but I think regarding the whole CSAM thing kind of was upset enough to say at the end that like she thinks people charged with things against kids should get like the death penalty. So I think that was probably the on the harsher side of what was said. But
Right.
really, it was just her experience. She didn't really have much to add about other things or Delphi and things like that. But then again, you weren't dating at the time. And then with your father, that was he won't talk to us, so we figured that a spokesperson is better than no perspective from him at all. So through Rick, he basically indicated that he's pretty upset, feels that you may have told lies about him, and indicated that he thinks that if you were involved with Delphi, he would say death penalty, and if not, then he thinks the crimes against children deserves a serious sentence, life or something. So I think that was mostly the extent of that. And yeah, again, that wasn't him directly. That was through a person that he's sort of become friendly with. But we decided that sometimes it's better to get a statement through a spokesperson than just not include a perspective at all, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I understand.
and as far as that, I mean, I would just be curious, like, how does that make you feel when, two people you were once very close to are sort of saying that, kind of recommending harsh punishments?
I mean, I understand because the charges. You know what I mean? I completely understand why they say that. You know,
Right.
but due to my dad, I mean, it's just crazy because I mean, I was with him that day. He knows I didn't do that. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy that he would say that because I don't know if you can look up his charges on whatever, I don't know, apps or whatever, but I mean, he's been charged with a lot of really messed up things, even with children. You know what I mean? So it's like him saying that is just like, I don't know, it blows my mind.
Right. I will say, in fairness, I believe your dad also noted that he did not think you were involved with the murders. So,
Right?
that was not his first thought, but definitely, just kind of, I think that's what he knows we cover. So I think he addressed that as a result. But I believe he said he did not think that. In terms of, you mentioned, I think in a text to us that you're here because of your dad. Would you be able to clarify that for us, like what your thought process on that is?
People have texted me and said they can read my discovery. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but if you've seen transcripts from my interview, I think it was 2020 with the state police. I mean, if you read that, you can see that they know someone else was involved. You know, I mean, they say to me they know it for a fact, 100%. I mean, I have, and what's crazy about that is Wednesday morning I got paperwork that I've never seen. I've never seen that transcript ever, and that's why when the state started saying when Courtney Alwine started, you know, saying judge, he's trying to push it out or whatever the word she said. It's like I've been here almost 3 years. I do not want to be here anymore. I've heard there's so much more things to do in prison. You know what I mean? Like education, people to talk to. I mean, if you can see, I'm in a room by myself. I've been isolated from everyone for a year almost. I literally can't talk to anyone but the guards for maybe one minute a day. I talk to the guards, and it's, I don't know. Like I do not want to be here. And she tried to say that, oh, he's had this for forever. I did not even get my paperwork, my whole discovery, till like 14 or 15 months after I was here. And then, I got to read it around all these people, that are asking me, hey, what's up with this? What's up with that? And, that's not easy to say, because then you're a target. Even though I'm in protective custody, there's still people that don't have sex cases, that don't like sex offenders, you know what I mean? Which is understandable 100%. But yeah, and I mean, I got that paperwork and I read some of it. I mean, there's stuff that says on the devices, on every single device, my dad's logged in with his email. And there's messages that say, hey, will you Skype me? There's only been one Skype ever on those phones, and it's Tony Kline, whatever the numbers are. And it's like, that's why I brought up to Andrew on Wednesday. That's why the court went, an hour or so later than what it should have started. Because I was like, Andrew, what is going on? How do I not see these after 3 years of being here? How do I not get my paperwork? And he called, and I heard his secretary say, well, we don't know 100% that we sent everything to him. And I just looked at him like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, I know you're a public defender. I'm not paying you, but, like, you have an obligation as a lawyer to get me all my stuff. If I'm about to take a 20-year sentence, I want to see every paperwork, everything that's ever been said, And it's just crazy.
And just to make sure I understand correctly, so you're saying you didn't actually receive that August 2020 transcript of that initial interview with Deputy Clinton, Detective Vito, things like that?
Right.
And
yeah, until
were there other things that you did not receive until Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, it shows like the I don't know what they call it, but it shows like the device, every email and everything that's been on the device. I've never seen that before, so I had no clue that the emails were on there. And I mean, it's just like, wow, Andrew. And then he brings up withdrawing my plea, and I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe I should talk to another lawyer, because it's been 3 years and you haven't brought up any of this to me. He just keeps telling, I don't know the law. I've never been arrested. When I was a juvenile, I got arrested one time per runaway. I was in the courtroom for like maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and I don't know the law, so I just listen to everything my lawyer tells me. So when I don't see any of this paperwork, it's like, are you kidding me, dude? I talked about going to trial the whole time over it. And then he was like, well, they're not going to give you a deal. So, and then Wednesday he goes, well, maybe we should have taken that 10-year plea. I'm like, dude, you've never told me about a plea ever until right now. I don't know. I don't know. It's really bad on his side as a lawyer. I don't know what you would call it, legal term, but yeah, it's just crazy.
When it comes to I think a lot of people have questions of like, why do a plea when you don't have a deal, right? And that's sort of what we saw going into the sentencing. And what was sort of your thinking about that?
He told me to. He told me that would be in my best interest. You save, you take the guilt as one of your mitigating factors, and then you taking the time and money away from the county for having to do a trial. So.
And then the discovery issue, sort of in your view, kind of threw that into, made you decide something else, essentially.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a lawyer to come see me, but I mean, everyone hates me in this county, everyone hates me everywhere. So I guarantee that lawyer's not going to come and see me till Friday.
So you do have a new attorney?
Well, they assigned me one, but I don't know his name. I'm not sure.
Right.
But he said they were assigning me one, but I don't know.
So did you request that Andrew be removed, or was that his decision?
Yeah. I told him to tell the judge, I can't. Because I had a thing I was going to read, but Andrew told me not to, that he would just talk to the judge and request himself, or whatever the word he used. I can't remember. But
right. Did he seem upset to be leaving, or was it okay?
Yeah, he kept saying how much time he's put into the case. And, I mean, he's been here a lot to see me, but, I mean, it's crazy. We've never sat and talked about my discovery. We never went through everything. I mean, it's a lot, but we've never sat and went through it like I would think a normal lawyer would want to.
Right.
It's just crazy.
Ms. Allwine at the hearing, I think, mentioned that, Vito, Pete Dietrichs, and you, I don't know if Aki was involved in that, went through some of the discovery together. Is that correct as far as your memory?
Yeah, well, we sat and they showed me the pictures and stuff. Yeah, me, Peter Dietrichs, and Rhett Lee, which was an attorney that worked for Andrew.
Got it. I know when we've texted, you mentioned, I think at one time we asked you, do you have remorse for the things that you admitted to? That was after, it seemed to be going towards a guilty plea. And I'm just curious, is that still the case?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm a human being. I don't think anything I did was okay. And like I told him, I'm not guilty of all those charges, but I am guilty of stuff. I did talk to underage girls. I'm not saying I never did. And I told him that 100 times, but I mean, some of the stuff I've seen in some of those images, it's like, man, it's crazy. And then like at the state police post when I was getting interviewed, they told me some stuff and I'm like, come on, man, I would never do stuff like that. It's just sickening.
So you're saying you're not guilty of everything you pled to in court a month ago?
Yeah.
But can you be more specific and say what things you're not guilty of?
I mean, there was a solicitation charge. I know it wasn't me because I've never talked to that girl. And I mean, some of the pictures, obviously, I don't know if they were exploitation or the child porn. I'm not sure which one it was, but yeah.
But some of the charges you do cop to in terms of like what was in there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had to roughly approximate, I know there's like 25 charges, so that's a lot, but like how many would you say? Maybe 7.
Okay.
Understood. And I guess, we're not going to ask you about Delphi. We respect the boundaries. I do want to, this is more of like kind of a big picture question though, not specifically about the case. I mean, do you feel you have information to speak with authorities on that case?
I've already tried. They don't want to hear anything I have to say. So, and I've met with the prosecutor there, and I mean, yeah.
You've met with Nick McClelland?
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about what he was like or what that experience was like?
I mean, he's a real nice guy. I mean, he was really super nice.
And this is big. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I can't really get into any more details, you know what I mean? But
that's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, he was a real nice guy, and yeah, I met with everyone.
Do you have a sense about why they don't want to hear it? This is just kind of a broad, big picture question.
They just said they don't believe me.
Okay.
Or they can't corroborate what I said, pretty much.
If I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like you're indicating that, maybe your dad was responsible for some of the problems on your devices. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Why do you think he has not been charged if that's the case?
I have no clue. I've asked Andrew that 100 times. I have no clue. It's insane.
Would you consider yourself like a pedophile?
No, I would not. That's even what I put in the PSI now. Like I told it in the PSI, when I'm out in public, I don't look at teenage girls or kids. I don't think sexually about them at all. No.
What do you think happened in terms of then, some of the things you're accused of doing?
Like I told in the PSI, it just kind of spiraled out. I mean, I didn't have a girlfriend. I was a lonely guy, and I started talking to girls online, and it just kind of spiraled into something, and I don't know. It just, it's crazy.
What do you think about the PSI? That's the pre-sentence report. Was that a fair document?
I mean, yeah, but their recommendation, no, I don't think so. But I mean, I understand it, obviously because of the charges, but. No.
So what do you expect to happen now? Are you planning to withdraw some of your guilty pleas, or?
Well, like I said, I want to, but I want to talk to a lawyer to see if it's even, smart to do that, because if he tells me, hey man, you're going to lose the trial, I mean, that's what Andrew said the whole time. Hey, you're going to lose the trial. There's no point in doing it. So.
You yourself mentioned that you thought, you might have some heat on you from people in Miami County. I'm curious, would that factor into whether or not you opt for a trial? Or, I mean, how do you think you would do with the jury at this point?
I would definitely suggest to get the jury pool somewhere else. Yeah, definitely, because I mean, this is a small area. I mean, I'm sure not everyone, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of people have seen me, I'm sure, and know the whole, or not, maybe not know the whole ins and outs, but know of everything.
Right. So you might want it, pulled in from another county, essentially.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, for folks who are kind of like, okay, well, he pled guilty, and we even saw that, like, Tim Spar kind of walked you through each charge and you said yes.
Sure.
Do you think that would hurt you with a potential future trial as far as like walking some of that back potentially?
Yeah, I do. I definitely do.
I guess why even say you did things that you're saying that you didn't do?
Because I just did what Andrew told me to do, Yeah, I just did I don't know anything about the law, so I just followed what he said to do.
I'm curious. I don't know if you answer this, but I'm just curious. Did you know Richard Allen?
No.
Okay.
No. People said that he worked in Peru or lived in Peru around whatever year. I can't remember, but someone on some podcast was saying, oh, well, he lived right down the road from him in 2004. Like, dude, I was 9 or 10 years old. Why would I know a grown man? Things like that.
I mean, I guess, is there anything you wanted to state for the record, or anything about some, the coverage, or that you would want the public to know?
When I get to prison, I definitely will send you a letter, because I want to talk about some of the Delphi stuff. But right now, I don't think that would be smart to do.
Okay.
But after I'm sentenced, you know what I mean? Yeah, I would like to say a few things for sure about that.
But we're very, very curious about what you have to say.
Yeah, and we would definitely welcome the chance for some of that clarification. So yeah, that would be great.
Right.
Yeah.
So you say that they basically just don't believe you, what you're saying?
Yeah. Not that they don't believe me, but they can't corroborate. They said they can't corroborate it in a court of law. So.
Yeah. That's obviously important, but definitely interesting. And anything else that you feel has been unfair in some of the coverage of you, or that you would want to clear up?
I don't know, really. Just people say stuff about me and they don't even know me. I know people have been on podcasts and they're like, oh yeah, that was my friend. I don't even know these people. It's like, what in the heck? It's crazy. I can't remember what podcast it was, but there was some girl that said I tried to meet her at a park in Kokomo or something, and I have no clue who the girl was. It's like, what in the hell? These people, I don't know. And then it's just terrible coming out of the courtroom like that. Last time, they took me where no one would be able to find out how I left the courtroom or got to the courtroom. And this time they took me right out in the hall and everyone's yelling at me. And it's like, man, it just sucks, because I'm not a terrible person. I've been charged with terrible things, and I have done, I messed up in the past, but, I'm not a terrible person. I don't know. Everyone paints me to be this monster, and I'm not. It just sucks.
How did it make you feel to go through that hall room? I believe there was like people shouting questions and stuff at you. What was that like?
It's terrible. Because I didn't know that was going to happen. They never told me I was going out that exit. It's crazy.
And then I'm just curious, do you have a sense of whether you'll be able to do anything by the deadlines that Judge Spar has set out, as far as what's next?
Well, like I said, hopefully the lawyer comes and sees me, but if he doesn't, then, I have no choice. I can't do anything, because I'm not going to withdraw a plea and not talk to a lawyer about it first,
And I just want to basically, kind of like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong, but basically maybe your ideal thing going forward would be to withdraw the guilty plea for some charges, leave it for others, right. Maybe have the things that you're saying, actually, I'm not guilty of these, go to trial.
Right, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Do you feel like, you mentioned that you were, there was talk of Andriaki mentioned a possible deal earlier, but you're saying that was not something you were aware of.
Yeah, I was not aware of that until Wednesday when he told me that. And I looked at him and I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, what the hell?
A lot of people have kind of, noted things like, the water search right over the summer, and there was a lot of attention on that and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, it did seem like at some point they were at least close to maybe offering you a deal.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely thought they were going to. But I was like, okay, what the heck? And then, I mean, I met with Peter and he talked about something happening, and then I just never heard from him again.
What did he talk about happening? Like a deal or?
Yeah, me plead to certain things and.
But and approximately when was that?
To the beginning of 2021, around there.
Okay, got it. And then pretty much after that, it's been nothing.
Silent, yeah.
Okay.